All right. Another episode of Archer Monologues. Continuing along the vein of on the subject of Elizabeth Smart and her campaign against pornography. I want to say this again. I feel sympathy for Elizabeth and her ordeal. I feel bad for her. I wish it hadn't happened to her. Anybody with any kind of soul would be sympathetic to her, would feel, at least try to relate to her pain. And I want to point this out, that this was 14 years ago. She's had plenty of time to heal, and I'm certain that such experiences may not be completely recovered from for a lifetime. She might just messed up for the rest of her life because of that horrendous ordeal she was put through. And I sympathize with her on that count. However, and I must say this is the first time I've actually addressed Elizabeth Smart and her situation, as far as I can recall, and it goes sort of viral, kind of, almost, on Facebook. I think it qualifies as being, nearly viral with all of the responses I got, and I'm still getting. Unfortunately, a lot of people have seen my post, and read my intro. I assume they read it before they watched the video. If not, then they missed the point. And a lot of people simply wanted to comment on Elizabeth Smart and the situation and the circumstances of that, and rant and rave about things they don't know anything about. They're not just illiterate in English language, they're illiterate in, human behavior and various other aspects of the human condition. And that's sad, and that's my job. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to do, is enlighten them just a bit, to help guide them away from stupidity and a little bit more towards rational, logical thinking. And, be sane, people. Be sane. Be like normal human beings, and don't be irrational and hysterical. Don't allow the Mindbenders to kind of push you all over the place and put shit in your head. I mean, if it's, and that's, it's unavoidable. The minute a person is born, delivered from the womb, as it were, the indoctrination begins. The first thing is, it's a boy or it's a girl. And bingo, right there, you've now been labeled as one or the other. And, it's a perfectly normal, natural thing, I suppose, to look at your child and say, well, it's a girl, because it's got girl parts, and it doesn't have boy parts, and vice versa for boys. And I think that, from there, it's downhill, people. The indoctrination... Let the indoctrination and manipulation and conditioning begin. Because by the time a child grows up to the age of, say, 6 or 12, they're just totally fucked up. And, people don't really realize that, I suppose. Which is unfortunate. I do. I am one of the gifted ones. I'm one of the fortunate ones. Because I wasn't totally victimized by the Mindbenders. I wasn't conditioned. Well, wasn't conditioned very well, obviously, because I'm still a free thinker. I still think rationally and logically, and my brain is not contaminated with all this crap. and garbage and nonsense. And for some reason or other, people don't like that, and they attack me because, oh, you're just being too rational and logical there, McClung. You're like an asshole or idiot or something. Like, like they're not idiots. That's the funny part. Well, it's not funny, but at any rate. All right, moving on to the second point I was trying to make, and did make, actually, in my introduction to the Elizabeth Smart video interview on Facebook. That other part is the fact of pornography. And how does pornography play into this issue? And how does pornography relate to the human condition? And why can't people understand, certain basic logical elements involved with this issue? The issue is pornography. And it's not so much about Elizabeth Smart and what she said about pornography, except that she is, like I said, waging a campaign against pornography, which is irrational. So, obviously, Elizabeth Smart, even though it's understandable that she would not have a favorable view of something that made her life miserable at the time, back when she was being abducted, being raped and so on by this lunatic, who, as she said in her interview, he got porn magazine, he looked at the porn, and he turned to her and said, we're going to do this, or she's going to do it, or whatever. The fact that he was looking at porn, like in a magazine, which is really pretty lame porn, if you ask me, unless there's a lot of text details in it, but just looking at a picture is, I'm sorry, that's no justification. Her experience is evil, bad, terrible, and unfortunate, but porn played a part in it for her. But porn, as a general rule, is not the issue here in regards to her victimization. I can see her emotional instability caused by the fact that there was porn involved with her being raped. And I'm not going to suggest that it didn't get worse after he looked at the porn. It might have got intensified as a result of him being more stimulated than just by his imagination, or by the fact that, she was probably a pretty cute girl. I mean, the naked human body can beat pornography. I mean, there are lots of examples of that in nature. So those people who think porn is some sort of separate thing from human being and human nature and in reality, people have been making and enjoying porn like forever. Ancient pornography has been discovered in the ruins of certain civilizations, etc. It's not new, and it's not a bad thing in itself. It just is what it is, and it's just, I think it is absurd to be waging a war against pornography in the 21st century. We should know better. And even if we were a victim of a lunatic who looked at porn, at the same time he was thinking, I'm going to fuck you in the ass, because there in that picture, you see, I can see that. The picture, that's what's happening in the picture. Pictures are just pictures, by the way. People are not, photographs are not people. A picture of a tree is not a tree. This is basic logical thinking. It's just, you can't even refute that. It's just true. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. It's a fact. I'll get into that another time. analysis of photographs and the misunderstandings and delusions of people in regards to pictures or photographs. I'll devote a whole show to that subject. But at any rate, as far as Elizabeth Smart and her war against pornography is basically irrational. And even though we can rationalize her thinking and say, well, she was very badly affected by the fact that there was pornography involved in that scenario. But that doesn't change the fact that pornography didn't really have anything to do with it. Not directly. The man's a lunatic, after all, and he would have done crazy shit regardless. So my point here, my second point, as opposed to he's a lunatic and he should be in a mental institution and not a prison, because I don't think he could have helped himself, and I don't think he was capable of reasoning this out and saying to himself, I'm just doing a bad thing and I shouldn't be doing this. Because most people would, I think, say, that's wrong, I'm not doing that. Normal people. What's normal? So, I'm saying to you that, one, he shouldn't be in prison, he should be in a mental institution because he's obviously criminally insane, and that's what you should do with criminally insane people that commit crimes against people and humanity. For example, George Bush. Criminally insane. It's obvious. Or is he just a bad fucker? Well, he's both. Because what he did was crazy. And he's responsible for the consequences of what he did. And that's, he's guilty of mass murder, freaking almost genocidal murder. It's just, George Bush should not be alive today. He should have been prosecuted for, at least put in a mental institution for being insane. He shouldn't have let it out into continue to being a president and the most powerful man in the world kind of thing, because that's just crazy. So the American people are lunatics as well. I live in a world surrounded by fucking lunatics and illiterate, retarded, stupid people. Can't do anything about that. Can't go around killing stupid people. Can't live with them, can't kill them. Sort of like women. No. I didn't mean that way. I'm not saying women are all... And I'm not saying... I'm not a misogynist, and I don't hate women. I love women. It's just certain human beings that I don't like, which is not the same as hating them. I just don't like them. I mean, hate is an extreme form of dislike. I try not to hate people. I hate George Bush and I hate Hillary Clinton, but it's justifiable because they're evil people. And if I say that they're criminally insane, they should be treated like they're criminally insane, not be elected as president of the United States. Come on, what's wrong with you people? A lot of people are freaking nuttier than a fruitcake. So my point there is, she's anti-freedom for one thing, certainly anti-free speech, and that's ironic in my thread there on Facebook. A lot of people, free speech and shit. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, but like Megan, who came into my world and my page on Facebook, it's definitely my page because it had my name at the top of it, meaning it's mine. I started it. It's my thing. And she just totally said, "Nah, it's not your thing. And I'm posting on a public forum somewhere over there in Trendy Land." And like, I'm sorry, no, you're talking to me. In my, basically in my room, in my house, in my living room, you're like, because that's where I'm sitting at the time. And she like saying bad stuff and slanderous, defamatory stuff. And she, if I had millions like Donald Trump, I would sue her for slander, libel, defamation, stalking, whatever. Not a crime. Shouldn't be a crime. It's just bad behavior. by one crazy maniac named Megan. I could use the phrase, I'm the poor unfortunate victim of Megan's hate and lunacy. She should have just took the hint when I told her, no more. None of that, dear. No, not here. We don't do that here. It's inappropriate behavior, and we're not going to tolerate it. Well, I'm not going to tolerate it. And I should have just blocked her right for the first time she said something stupid at me, about me, towards me, and she just kept talking. No, you're not going to do that. And so eventually I had to block her because she was just being a stupid pain in the ass. And, it's like, here's your sign, Megan. Comedian used to, he had little cards and had stupid on it, or I'm stupid on it, and he'd hand it to people like, here, put this on your forehead. I am stupid. Because they obviously were. And so I like that here's your sign phrase, because it reminds me of the comedian that used it, and it's appropriate. And you could say it's my opinion, but most of the time it's not, because an opinion is just a personal bias. Based on a lot of times, an opinion is simply personal taste, personal biases. You're not basing it on logical, factual information and formulated, calculated, logical conclusions. You're just ranting and raving like a freaking lunatic. So, to wrap this up, I'm not going to stop talking about or writing about the thread on Elizabeth Smart's ordeal and her campaign against pornography, which is ridiculous. But it's also harmful, because there are a lot of people out there that want to do away with pornography, and they are obviously hypocrites. And if you live in America, it's like, I believe in freedom, and but they apparently don't. Well, obviously they don't, because in a free society, if you want to make porn and read porn and write porn and look at porn and be turned on by porn and enjoy porn, and that's called freedom. You're allowed. The freedom to have pornography in this society has been a long one, and it's been a struggle, and it's been going on for centuries. And then finally, back in the mid-20th century, rational people, cooler heads prevailed and said pornography is allowed, because that's a part of being a free person, is being able to, enjoy pornography. Free speech, right there. And what's his name? That guy that has Hustler magazine, Larry Flint, went to court and argued for freedom and free speech, and won the case, by the way, and even to the Supreme Court. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you can't outlaw pornography. It's just, you're not allowed to do that. The government, I mean. And the human race, the human beings in America should say, well, that's settled. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It'll exist. And those who want to watch it and read it and make it and participate in the video pornography business, it's freedom. Do what you want. Oh, it hurts people. It's harmful. All that stuff. That's just bullshit. Pornography doesn't do anything. It's just there. It's like, a rock is just there. Oh, and let's use a more relevant word, a more relevant concept. Guns don't kill people. They're just inanimate objects that do nothing until somebody picks it up and pulls the trigger. Sorry, guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns, and that's not the same concept, is it? Well, of course not. So pornography doesn't hurt anyone. It's a victimless crime. It's not a crime. For God's sake. What's wrong with you people? You know who I'm talking about. Lunatics. That obviously, unfortunately, people just, yeah, this is normal. No, you're not normal if you want to outlaw pornography. And I'm not defending pornography because I like pornography, because well, I do. I even make pornography. I write porn stories. I certainly would make porn videos if I had the facilities and the wherewithal to do so. I have made porn videos. And a side note, I actually know what the word porn means. Pornography means what it means. People use the word incorrectly. Too much. Way too much. And that's just not right. So, my point in Elizabeth Smart thing and the posting on Facebook and stuff is that she shouldn't be doing that. It's just maybe understandable to some people, but it's not really understandable to me. If you're a freedom-loving person, you don't want to ban anything. You just say, there it is. And, if people like participate in porn, or read it and write it and whatever and look at it and, that's just part of the human condition. It's just part of what people do. And it serves a purpose, good or bad. Sometimes it may serve a bad purpose, like in Elizabeth's case. The guy looked at porn and said, hey, we're going to do that. Okay. That's one man, one lunatic, and we don't want to give credibility to the fact that, porn was just part of that scenario in that case. And there's no reason to wage a campaign against pornography in general. I mean, we should just say, in that case, porn was used inappropriately. That's about the most we can say about that case. He used porn inappropriately to further stimulate himself to do bad things to Megan. Sorry, Megan. Megan did make an impression. I can't unsee what Megan said, is what I'm saying. And Elizabeth can't unsee what happened to her, and that there was porn involved. But if you had a gun, would she be campaigning against guns? I want all the guns banned, or the whole world banned. Nobody should have guns. Nobody should have a gun. Nobody should enjoy, having a gun and target shooting with it, or defending themselves against, evil governments and tyrannies and bullies and criminals that want to cause them harm. Gun's a tool. In the case of pornography, it's just it's entertainment, and it works for its purpose. It serves its purpose, and there's nothing wrong with it. And a lot of people like porn, and a lot of people even make porn. And aside from the unfortunate events and circumstances involving the porn industry, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, except in the case of, let's say, Larry Flint, who makes pornography. Hey, that's what he wants to do. Good for him. I hear people use the phrase consenting adults, and that's another whole show in itself, but just a side note here. If you want to make porn, make porn. If you want to look at porn, look at porn. It's free country, Christ's sake. You want to? Then you have every right to. Go ahead. It doesn't hurt you. Really, it doesn't. But the American society has totally gone wacko land, and pornography here. No, it doesn't. If you're a man and you're looking at porn, I started to say addicted because that's another bullshit word. There's no such thing as addicted to porn any more than there's such a thing as a sex addict. It's ridiculous. And I will explain why in some future broadcast. Stay tuned. It'll get interesting. As if it's not already. Well, it is. And you know it. Because you're listening. But, Megan, Jesus. See, now I've got that imprinted in my brain. I can't get rid of it. I've been indoctrinated by Megan's, what is it? 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 Megan's, what is it image and words. I hope I recover from that mind fuck soon. Mind fuck. My brain is being raped by Megan and her words. Words are raping me. No, the words aren't raping me. It's Megan saying the words that is raping me. So, no war against pornography. A long struggle to make pornography a part of being a free person in a free world. The struggles have been fought and sacrifices were made. Lenny Bruce, arrested unfairly and inappropriately and illegally and insanely, arrested, harassed, and so on, for doing what he had every right to do. He talked dirty, and he had a right to do so. People enjoyed that, apparently, because they came and paid money to see him talk and say stuff. You know, George Carlin. You know, the 7 naughty words, and which he actually said out loud, not on television, because television is pretty lame. At any rate, there's no reason to even entertain the idea of banning somebody else's free speech or their ability to enjoy it. I'll explain that addiction farce later on in another show, perhaps. But my objection to Elizabeth Smart is based entirely and only on that one issue of her campaign against pornography. She wants to ban it. She wants to make it illegal. She wants the government to pass a law making it illegal. That's insane. This is not the Middle Ages. I'm sorry. 21st century. People should be smarter than that. It's all about freedom. And Elizabeth Smart, in the case of pornography, is not about freedom. She's about tyranny and bullying. And that's my objection. She shouldn't be doing that because it's wrong. And basically because she's totally misunderstanding the situation. In her case, a man raped her. What inspired him to do so is irrelevant generally, but only particularly in his case. He did, that's the way it was. That's as absurd as suggesting that all guns should be banned because, some lunatic shot somebody with a gun. That's insane. Trust me, that's not my opinion. That's a factual observation. Porn doesn't kill people. Porn doesn't rape people. People rape people. Lunatics rape people. I'll be back in a minute. All right. I hope I've clarified that for you folks. On the Facebook page, I amended the original intro statement to read, "Poor, unfortunate victim." A legitimate phrase. So I left out the word unfortunate, an oversight on my part. I assure you that I had no intentions of implying or condescending to Elizabeth Smart. The poor, unfortunate girl was subjected to horrendous treatment by the lunatic. All right, moving on. All right. Well, I was talking about Megan on Facebook. I want to clarify a couple things. Point out foolish thinking of some people. on my Facebook post. I did say my Facebook post, because it is mine. At the top of the page, at the top of the post, it says clearly, my name. I started it. All of those comments posted underneath of that article, that video of Miss Smart interview, simply wouldn't have existed if I hadn't posted it. Now, true, there are other posts by other entities and people. The New York Times posted it. Other people posted it. The video I'm talking about. And I think I'm the only one that actually commented on it in the way I did, which is not unusual, because I often see things that other people don't. It's sort of like my job. I'm an artist. I live basically by making observations and expressing them. It's my job. All right. So Megan has some misunderstanding, because she kept saying things like, I posted a comment to a public forum. Yes, it was a public thread, because I posted it publicly. Myself, thus named D. McClung, which is affixed to this thread at the top, clearly indicates that I posted it, that it is mine, my doing, and I therefore own and control the thread. I did it, my doing. I posted it publicly. I posted my comment about Miss Smart and her interview on video publicly. I posted it, or reposted it, or shared it with you folks, or the viewers on Facebook. So she is misunderstanding the concept of what it means to have a public presentation, or a public statement, or a public a forwarding or sharing of an idea, or a video, or a meme, or whatever, in a public way. But I personally privately posted it intentionally to a public venue. So in a sense, the whole thread is public, and it's available for the public as individuals to see it, to read the comments, and to post a comment about the article, about my introduction statement. That means that she would be posting her comment publicly, but she directed her comment to me. That's personal, in a very public way. I assume that everybody else that goes to the public forum that contains my thread can see it, read it, and post to it. Except Megan, who is now blocked and can no longer see what I post, meaning the whole thread that I posted, is invisible to her. So it's not public to her anymore. She no longer has a right to post to it because it has been closed to her. It is now private, excluding her. It is public, excluding her. She can certainly get to the video by another route by going to the NBC page on Facebook and so on, and other people who have posted or shared it. But my thread is my thread. Which I chose to post publicly. Most of the things I post on the internet or Facebook are posted publicly. This radio show is posted publicly. The difference between Facebook page or thread and this radio show is I'm broadcasting this publicly for all people to listen to, without restrictions, by the way. Don't use any rating systems or any of that for adults only crap on anything I post on the internet, because that's just stupid idea. For adults only is nonsense. Absolute, utter nonsense. Why do I say that for adults only is nonsense? Let me explain why I came to the conclusion that it was nonsense, and certainly not something that is permitted in a free society, which America is supposed to be, but isn't. But still, it's a goal we wish to see accomplished. Again, because at some point it was probably true. The whole idea of freedom is one, that you have the ability to exercise that freedom. If you don't have the ability to exercise your freedom, then you're not free. And, for example, if you have a human right, and rights, the word rights is mostly relating to the political or the government's government issues. For example, when I'm talking to the government or about the government and about human beings and their freedom, I will use the word rights to designate that particular freedom as opposed to government tyranny. For example, the Constitution, which is the law that governs the government, or should, since obviously the government is ignoring that law and breaking it on a daily basis, millions of times a day, the Constitution clearly states you have a right. Human beings have rights. Declaration of Independence pretty much declares that human beings have unalienable human rights, natural rights. I prefer not to use the word rights all the time. Sometimes when I'm talking about the government and the government versus the people and the people versus the government and legal systems and so on, I use the word rights to fit in with the paradigm of that conversation or that discussion in regards to the human rights of people, as opposed to the government attempting to deprive us of our rights or violating our rights, such as the U.S. government does now. Pretty much every state in the Union violates human rights. It's a sorry state, and hopefully we will overcome that and once again reestablish the concept of individual freedom and human rights. When I'm speaking about a person's ability to exercise a freedom, then the word rights is somewhat inappropriate, because I'm not talking about the government's involvement in that right. For example, when I'm talking about state marriage, a fraudulent government program, I'm speaking of the right to marry in relationship to talking about that right to marry versus government involvement in the fraudulent marriage program. But when I'm talking about marriage, I would prefer to say marriage is a natural, inalienable. That means you're born with it and nobody can take it away from you legally or rightfully. And that you have the natural, inalienable human freedom, if you can exercise it, to marry or not to marry. And that marriage is defined as you wish it to be, because there is no absolute definition of the word marriage. The concept is open and fluid in regards to each individual's definition of the word, and that's not chaos. That's, well, the very most we could call it anarchy, which means simply no government involvement. The marriage program, the state marriage program, which makes people corporations when they ask for a corporate license to be married, which is what it is. That's not my opinion. That's a legal fact. So this, for adults only, is anti-freedom, certainly anti-nature, and refuses to acknowledge the fact that all human beings have the inalienable or unalienable human natural right or freedom to look at porn, because free speech applies to everyone. As is obvious, the founding fathers of this country, well, I'm saying the founding fathers of the government, basically, was well aware of the fact that you have the right to freedom of speech, and they wanted to protect that. But unfortunately, 200 years later or so, that's not the case. The government ignores that. So, to wrap this segment up, for adults only is an anti-freedom concept and unacceptable in a free society. And nothing I post on the internet is for adults only. Everything I do is for everyone, and is not limited by law, by governments, or by any other group or individual American. It's called freedom. Freedom does not put conditions on free speech or limits on it and say, oh, wow, everybody has the freedom or the right, if you wish, to exercise free speech and to make and view pornography if that's what you want to do. That's why it's called freedom. And to put a limit on that, or to make a law that, for adults only, is contradictory to the concept of freedom, and therefore cannot apply in America. All right, I'm going to wrap this up, and time's up for this segment, and I'll be talking to you again about this in the next episode. So, have a good day. We'll catch you later.